You are listening to the Park Flyer Podcast, where we discuss our RC adventures.
Welcome to the Park Flyer Podcast, where we discuss the ups and downs of the new RC Flyer. Join your hosts, Michael and Jay, as they take flight at the park. Now on with the show.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Park Flyer Podcast. I'm Michael from Arizona, and with me always are my great friends,
Jay from the hills of Texas.
And AK Mike in Texas.
and it is good to be back. I cannot believe that I missed the first episode of 2023, but thank you very much for stepping up. I did listen to it, and Mike is correct. I do work a lot. He mentioned that, and he's like, man, he works a lot. I found myself, short of time. The hardest thing for me is the end of the month and the beginning of the next month, because for me, my flights kind of merge together, and it doesn't give me a whole lot of time. And I found myself in that instance, and so I think Jay and I were planning on putting something together, and then something happened, so we didn't get there. And anyway, thank you very much. It is good to be here for 2023, and it's exciting. So we have a couple of events coming up in the next few weeks that we're excited about. First one coming up is Winter Warbirds, and the second one is Arizona Electric Festival. So I got some projects going on we'll talk about, and I think, first, though, we have a safety spot, I think, right?
Safety spot?
Yeah, I think Jay is normally our safety guy.
I haven't been doing anything where I would burn my fingers or leave an iron on, or because, I fixed that a while back, where
True.
My soldering iron turns off automatically now. I don't have to worry about that stuff because I still do that. I definitely leave that thing plugged in, but it turns off.
Funny.
So what happened? Did you burn a finger off? Lose a hand?
And it's not for me because I got all my digits.
Burn my finger. So if you can see right behind me, if you're on our YouTube channel, go to the Park Flyer Podcast at youtube.com, and you can see that with Winter Warbirds coming up that's coming this weekend, actually, or next weekend. My L39 is sitting in the back, and so I've been working on it occasionally, trying to get everything ready to go. And I thought, Winter Warbirds is coming up. Maybe I can have it ready to go and, take it to Winter Warbirds. And I've kind of been him-hawing around and doing stuff a little at a time. I had to do a lot of custom wiring work. And so, I was doing custom links and trying to do all that. I wound up, believe it or not, everything's custom linked right where it needs to be, except for two. They were too short. I don't know what happened. I must have mismeasured, but initially I measured them out, and then when I put the nose on, I'm like, how did they get literally like that much too short? So I have to use an extension for those two. But other than that, I was putting together. So this turbine in the back has a motor back here, and then right where my finger is, right in front of or behind the rear cockpit, is a big like a 1 gallon tank for fuel. And a lot of guys use the smoke and fuel, so they split the tank in half. I didn't want that. I just wanted all fuel. I wasn't going to use smoke. There's a military airplane that doesn't really have it. So I got rid of the smoke tank, and it's all fuel, right? So I can fly a little bit longer. Anyway, I will tell you that, not off topic, but in the last year or so, I'm always looking for really cool tools. And working with some of the stuff that goes in this airplane, I picked up a set of these Weiss, I think they're called Crescent Weiss scissors. Now, these are titanium. You can see they're very sharp, and they will literally cut through a penny. You can, they're incredibly heavy, and they're heavy duty. I've cut wires.
Wait. You said they're
incredibly
heavy
all the time.
But how can it be heavy and be titanium?
Yes.
That's an oxymoron.
I don't know. It is an oxymoron.
The handles look like they're lots.
The handles
of
are pretty
duty.
beefy. They're heavy duty handles.
Oh,
okay. It's got some weight to it. It's not. Yeah, it's not like a regular. These are titanium coated. No wonder. Okay. Well, that's what it says. Titanium coated.
Anyway,
they're pretty high and they're pretty industrial. And I have I had a pair, and I either loaned them out or laid them down somewhere, and somebody
Not for nose
used them, and
hairs.
so yeah, they're not for nose hairs. So anyway, long story short, safety tip of the day: when you're using scissors, you have to be very, very careful. Very careful.
Don't run with them. We know this.
Don't run with scissors. That is correct. You don't want to put your eye out. And wear safety goggles. But the big thing is you can see that this is probably I don't know, a 5 or 6 inch blade on it. Because I can really get into tight spaces, and this little tip part of it is very strong and very sharp. So believe it or not, I was using it to cut 8mm fuel tubing.
Okay.
8mm fuel tubing is pretty large. Now this will cut 4mm, just snip. It's like cutting butter through, a knife through butter. It's like cutting a human hair. You just kind of go clip and it clips off. But the 8mm, a bigger cord. It's like this size, and you go to cut it, you're having to put a lot more pressure on it. Well, the fuel, I was trying to measure it to get it in there, and the best way to do that is to put your fuel stuff in the airplane itself and then pull the tube over, and the tube got the exact length that I needed it, so I pulled it up like this. I reached in there, and I went, snap, and literally caught this part. You can't, if you're on the podcast, if you're listening to us, I'm sorry you can't see it, so jump on the YouTube channel. But it caught the fatty part above the knuckle on my thumb. So when I went to go snip it, it snipped a crescent on the top and a crescent on the bottom, and right in the middle where they didn't come together because I saw it happen. I let go real quick, and there was a little skin holding the two. So there was a cut on one side and a cut on the other. And I looked down and I was like, oh, and it surprising it didn't hurt. But I reached up and I knew that it was probably, not at first. I knew that it was going to start, spewing blood at me. So I grabbed the skin and I pushed it together real quick to try and keep it, kind of together instead of coming apart.
Monty Python
and when I
moment.
did, it ripped that middle skin section.
Oh, no.
And that tore instead of cut. So once it tore, that did hurt, by the way. It started just gushing. So I was like, man, and I'm holding it and I'm trying to, keep it together. And I had some paper towel on it, and I ran over to the sink in my shop and I washed it all out, and it's bleeding pretty good. And there's nothing on that part. Right. So, when I looked in there, it's almost like you could see bone, which was telling.
For those of you who are wondering, this is not a prescribed weight loss program. We do not prescribe this as a weight loss method. So in case, because sometimes you have to be a little more obvious about things, and I just want to say,
true.
We do not condone this as a weight loss program.
No, blood loss maybe, weight loss no.
Blood loss.
Back to the medieval ages where we're trying to bloodlet somebody. That's a good.
Let it bloodlet. Well, the good news is well, actually not the good news, but the news is you should always have a first aid kit in your shop.
Okay.
And
I
did
moved
you?
into mine, but I haven't finished unpacking lots. Haven't finished unpacking a lot of stuff. There is a first aid kit. It's in a box underneath one of these tables. I just have to open the right box to
Underneath
find
one of
it.
these tables.
And that was a little
I love
difficult to do.
Mike's you're gonna put a little
was-
message on the first aid box that says last cut in January of 2023, aren't you? Like
we're gonna put a sign up there that says
last accident 100 days since last accident.
zero days without 0 days without an accident starting today. Anyway, luckily I couldn't get to I'm bleeding. I couldn't get to my box to start unpacking boxes because I've got one hand holding the skin together and the other hand, just kind of flipping around my flipper. And so anyway, I threw open my what I did have is my little box of all my stuff and glues. So I grabbed the Blenderm because the Blenderm was in there, which is a surgical tape. And then I have this Blenderm, and I've opened the Blenderm, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, how do I cut this? Hey, I got a good idea. I'll just grab these scissors that I have.
They're already pre-lubricated.
Holding. Yeah, they're already
Oh,
pre-lubricated. So I'm holding this part with this hand, and I'm trying to manipulate the scissors and holding the tape and trying not to bleed everywhere. And anyway, needless to say, it was a little humorous. I could have used the third hand, would have been much simpler. Unfortunately for me, it was about 1 o'clock in the morning. I'd lost track of time, and I was
I
in there
think
just
you
working.
have just birthed a new idea, which is the gauze holder for enthusiasts, for individual enthusiasts, because then you
A
could have the
ga-
gauze holder. Yeah, because then you could have it pull it out, and then you could cut it while it's still in there with all the what you're doing there, and now
That's
you have this
true.
gauze holder. Maybe you just use it and you kind of whip your finger around, and it'll be wrapped up really quick or something
Oh,
like
there you
that.
go. I
Or
could
you
do
stick
that.
your
Yeah.
thumb up in there and it just goes, yeah, like a pencil sharpener. I mean, necessity is the mother of invention, right?
That's it. Well,
Yeah.
leave Jay to his 3D printer. He can 3D print
Yeah,
me one
exactly.
that disperses gauze and blender simultaneously, like one of those
Exactly.
shaping machines.
Exactly. It's like you're wrapping a gift.
Anyway, I did get the Blenderm on it. It was 1 a.m. I decided that I would quit while I was ahead, and only had one accident and not several. So I did wash it out for a while. And I put Blenderm on it. Blenderm is a really great product. They use it in the hospital anyway. That's where it comes from. And it's actually a surgical tape, so it sticks really well. Whether it's once I dried my finger off, it stuck really well. But to make matters worse, I wrapped it up, and of course it's still bleeding underneath it, and it doesn't absorb the blood. It just leaks out of whatever air
Right.
pocket the Blenderm has.
Right.
So I thought, it's not hurting. It stung a little bit, but I washed it off pretty good with some antibacterial soap.
Yeah, when
And
you cut the
then I
nerves,
went,
normally it doesn't.
Yeah. Cut all the nerves off. Exactly. And so I decided to go to bed, and I'm like, yeah, I'll just go to bed and I'll deal with it in the morning. And so anyway, the morning comes around, and of course I wasn't thinking about bleeding all over the place, but and
Oh,
I
no.
really was. And so I slept with my
Oh,
hand obviously all over my pillow. So my wife gets up to go to work, and she leans over and goes, "What the heck happened to you?" And there's like smeared blood all over the pillowcase,
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh my gosh, what's
Were
happening?"
you
And-
looking around for a horse head or?
That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
Name
something.
that movie.
I don't know. Yeah, exactly. So she she was a little upset, and then she's like, "What did you do?" And I said, "Well, I cut my finger." And she's like, "Let me see it." And then she was like, "Oh my gosh, that's deep." So I did, clean it all off, and I came out and I got some new Blenderm. And believe it or not, overnight it did kind of close itself back up. It's not a gaping wound like it was last night. It literally was
Good.
one of those that I could bend my thumb and it would open up and I could see like down inside it. I'm like, oh, that's
Yeah.
really deep."
It's called
But,
Running
stitches.
with
but this
scissors might
morning-
be safer than this, even.
I probably, they probably could have put stitches in there, but I don't know. In today's world, a lot of times they just do a Blenderm depending on where it's at. And because this is on my thumb, where I bend it, where it actually bends, I think stitches would have been
Would pull out.
troublesome anyway. Yeah, they would
Yeah.
have pulled out. So
That's what
They would have
superglue's
done-
for.
yeah, I thought about
That
that,
would
but
sting.
the last time I did that, my wife really went ballistic.
Really?
That, and I did it on the dog once, and I got the dog's leg infected. So it doesn't work on
Oh.
dogs, does work on humans. I have a little scar on this side of me right here on my little fatty part where Jay hit me with a prop. Or he was here when I hit myself with a prop. I shouldn't blame it on Jay, but
Yeah, I was.
Oh, no, I
I
think
didn't
blaming
have
on
my
Jay's
kung fu
okay.
knives, and I just threw the propeller at him.
oh no, we were actually working on an airplane, and it was sitting on the table, and I plugged it in, and it was full throttle, and it was, and Jay literally grabbed the tail, and it caught me in the fatty part of the hand, and so that one
I
started
thought Jay was
spewing out
practicing
everywhere,
his
too.
prop kata, and that's what happened.
Yep. That's exactly what happened. So, anyway, couple of things. Have a first aid kit in your shop, accessible,
Okay.
so that if something does happen, that's a safety tip for the year 2023. And be very careful when you're working with scissors, especially when you're inside the cockpit of a small jet. You could poke an eye out or slice your finger digits off. Cut a tendon. That's what my wife said. She's like, "Well, you're lucky you didn't grab a tendon or something, where you actually cut something on the side and cause your finger not to work." And I'm like, "Well, it didn't. It wasn't that it wasn't like I chopped my finger. It just the tips of those things are just so sharp. It just kind of.
Besides, you use your other hand for the comms. No big deal.
That's right.
Yeah, this is my flying hand though.
Yeah, but you don't need that thumb.
I guess we're going to just call you
Yeah,
Lefty
kinda.
from now on.
I have to work a joystick, so that is my left hand. I guess you'll call me righty. Righty.
Yeah.
So anyway, yes, I am feeling better, and hopefully this. I got to change out the dressing tonight after the podcast, but it looks much better than it did when I first did it, and seems to be on the mend. So, but yeah, I was telling Jay about it before the podcast earlier, and he was unfortunately was driving, so it was dangerous for me to be telling him that stuff.
What's that
almost killed,
sound?
like,
It's me
5
driving
people.
all over the road and I'm laughing my head off.
No,
He
for me, it was
like,
the opposite.
Oh no!
He's like, oh, and then I put my hand into this dark hole and I was snipping around and I'm like, what? Why would you do? And then all of a sudden the tip caught and just cut right through and I went, oh no. And then my hand starts throbbing, sympathy pain. And here comes a bus full of kids,
Yeah.
as the bus is pulling up and I'm like weaving all over the road as he's telling me this stuff and I'm grabbing my hand. Oh, it was horrible.
Yeah, it was funny though. So the part of what I was doing is putting the airplane together. Winter Warbirds is coming up in January here, the 26th, 7th, and 8th, I believe, 26th, 27th, 28th. Our friend from the AZ EF, Harry Middleton, he's coming out. He's going to hang
Yay.
out with me, and it'll be his first time in the shop. And he's got some planes that he's bringing out. He actually built a P-51 Mustang, a Corsair, and one other or Spitfire or something. So I don't know if he's bringing all 3 of them, but he's definitely bringing 1, possibly 2. So I'll be excited to see those. And then we're going out to Sun Valley Flyers here in Arizona, and they're having the Winter Warbirds. It's Tony does a good job. He puts that on every year. So, and then I was in Boston, and I ran into Barry because he works for a different company, but we were just happened to be overnighting in Boston at the same time, and we were across the street from each other. And so I called him up, or he called me and said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, let's go have lunch." So we went and had lunch, and I talked him into, hey, Winter Warbirds is coming. He's like, I got to work, and I'm like, okay. So he talked to me earlier today. He's swapping his trip out and coming back for Winter Warbirds, so he'll be there as well. So it'll be kind of cool. We'll have all the guys there, and it's anything that has to do with the Warbirds. It could be World War I or, all the way through, current jets. So
Cool.
I think I'm going to take my A-10 and my L-39. This one, don't think I'm going to have it done, mainly because, I found a couple of things that were wrong with this one that I want to fix.
There's blood everywhere, yeah.
Yeah, it makes it authentic, though.
Yeah,
That's true.
I just
You gotta put
spread
some
it on
battle
there and
damage
then
on
tell
it.
everybody I hit a bird.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Well, I've already done all
First
that.
strike.
It's,
Yeah, that's too much.
somewhat.
This is a family-friendly show, you guys. Come on now. Well,
So, but anyway, So Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, they've last year's was really a fantastic. The year before that, they had a limited amount because of COVID, but this year we're kind of looking forward to it, and I think a lot of people are going to be there. I've already registered, and getting ready to take some stuff out there, so that'll be kind of cool. And then right after that, the weekend after that is Arizona Electric Festival. And so I got, got to get stuff ready for that as well. So I'm going to throw some electric stuff. I don't know if you can see, but way back behind me, you see what the new purchase is right there?
A TV.
is it a box of something?
No, under the TV.
It's
That
a
little
box of
under the
something.
TV. It is a box.
It looks gray. I can't really tell what it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, it's hard to say, but
Yeah.
it is a new night vapor.
Nice.
So it's a little UMX night vapor, and a friend of mine.
Dibs on first flight.
Oh, I've already flown it.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, I already flew it. Matter of fact, it comes ready to fly out of the box. You just bind it and go out. I went out on the back patio and was flying it around the back patio.
I bet that was fun.
It's super fun. And now I will tell you that is not the airplane to fly in wind.
No.
It kicked
That
up.
makes
The wind
sense.
kicked up, and I chopped the throttle, and that thing was like woo 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 all the way to the ground. So I was like woo, and I brought it in right away. It's definitely something I can fly in my garage or the hangar or somewhere like that. And so a friend of mine decided that he wanted to get back in to remote control. He came over to the house, saw all the stuff in the shop, and he just fell in love with some of these. And he's like, "Man, I really need to get back into it. I did it a long time ago, and I just don't know where to start." And so anyway, I told him, I said, "Well, how about we start with a little night vapor, and we'll get one, and then kind of go fly it." So he has one as well. So we're gonna put them together, and then you don't have to
That's
put them
pretty
together.
cool. That'd be fun.
Got
That's a
them
way to
out,
start.
test fluid, got some batteries, and you can fly it in the hangar at night or
A
whenever. So
lot of good
he's an
time with
aircraft
those little
mechanic, so
guys.
he works. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And so you can't see them. They're right below it, but my pits and my Trojan or T-28 Trojan are sitting there as well. And I'm charging up batteries because they're going to come out after.
Good. I love flying the pits. That's one of my favorite ones.
Yeah, it is pretty fun. So hopefully, by the time it gets, a late evening, we can go fly it off the back porch because my back porch is pretty big. So
Yeah.
So there's two of them and kind of hanging out with them. So, we're excited. And then Mike, you're coming out for the Electric Festival, so
I am.
I think you're going to be out here. And then unfortunately, Jay has got a prior commitment, so
Yep.
not
Can't make
gonna
it this year.
this year. He's got some stuff he's got to attend to. So, but we're looking forward to being
Jay,
out
can
there,
you, like,
Shannon.
3D print like a head or something that looks like you? You could put it in your resin printer or something, and we could put that on the table so that we have your presence.
That's true.
Well, I'll just send you a picture of
You can just
Brad
have your
Pitt,
presence
and
there.
that pretty much covers me right there.
Except for nobody would believe it.
Brad.
It's you. I mean, nobody
Yeah.
would believe it's you.
Where's Jay? He's right here. That's not Jay. That's Brad Pitt.
Uh-huh.
One and the same.
They look the same.
There you go.
Yeah, maybe we could get a lifetime picture of you.
But
Just have them.
but
just ship
yeah,
that up
we
there.
what's that?
I said maybe we can get a life-size picture of him. One of those, like they do for Star Trek and some of those other things. Where they
Oh,
have a
yeah.
big person.
Yeah. Like you see at the movie theater where they got the
Yeah.
board and you stand by it, take a picture. Yeah, maybe we can do that. Well, this is we had Shannon Gallagher on the podcast a couple weeks ago, and he was telling us that it's his last year. I actually, believe it or not, I think I forgot to register, so I got to go register for the.
You did the same thing last year. Oh, yeah.
I did. I got busy. I was doing stuff, trying to get ready, and then I forgot.
Squirrel.
So, yeah, exactly. It's terrible. Terrible. So, well, did you finish anything with the Cub? I listened to the podcast last time and was wondering about the landing gear.
Well,
but
basically, to
as
sum
I-
that
as
up, I ended up re-breaking the landing gear, or it got broke when I was fixing it, and I needed to print out another gear piece. And a friend of ours from college stopped by for a week, and that was my squirrel moment. And I was busy playing with him, and we were shooting guns and doing other stuff and building other things. So that got put on the back burner.
Right.
So I haven't had a chance to get back to it. So, but it is like 95% complete. So just need to
So you
print
only
it
need
out.
another
and
5%.
that's it. Another 5%, and I'll get out there and test it. So I'm pretty confident it's going to work.
Can't wait.
Yeah, that'll be fun to have. I mean, fun to figure out. So, well, that's kind of cool. Well, Mike, are you gonna bring anything out? Or are you just gonna come out and fly some stuff with me? Or
I think I'm gonna try to bring the night owl or night walrus again, sans the elevator, just to be consistent. And then that way we can use the one I made last time. But
Which I
really,
still
it'd be
have.
nice if I actually brought the real elevator this time. I think
The whole plane.
that'd be,
I think so too.
and I might be able to stick one other plane. I'm not going to bring I don't think I'll bring my glider. They don't like it when I fly my glider, my bigger glider, during the day. Like I like flying
Yeah.
that doesn't have lights on it, because it could be up to for 20 minutes. People are like,
That's
"Hey,
true.
dude, you're taking up the sky."
Right.
So
Right.
I'll see. I probably have something else I can bring. The fundraiser is dead, so that's not a thing anymore. And and I haven't replaced it, that's a plane I really miss. I like that plane a lot, even though I crashed it quite a bit. I still liked it. It was a lot of fun to fly.
Yeah.
But
I still have mine, but I think it needs a new ESC.
Okay.
Just because it still does that chirp thing on a 4-cell.
Yeah. That's
I
not good.
haven't figured that out yet.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have
But
an
I like
activity
flying.
for you
Good.
guys.
What's
What?
that?
Well, since you're going to be flying these night flyers, especially in the UMX size, you still have the those lights for the runway, right? That you have on the yardsticks, those LED lights.
I do.
Okay. Well, what you need to do
Yeah.
is you can set them up, and you can do. I just jumped out of my head, but you set them up and you do. What do you call it? They do it in Reno. They race.
Like
Oh,
spot
pylon
landing?
racing.
Pylon racing. Yeah, you do pylon racing.
Oh,
We used to do it
pylon
up in
racing.
Alaska all the time, but it was indoors in the gym. Everybody would get their flyers and go and we'd have this super slow, race, and it's a hoop. So I've never
'cause
done one at
everything
night,
is,
but
like UMX size.
yeah. So at night, I've never done one at night, but I can't see how that couldn't be even more fun because I could just see you just getting confused as to whose is what, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun just when you can see everything, but I couldn't imagine going super slow and if you had 4 or 5 of those things zipping around. A makeshift pylon race at night would just be just a hoot and holler. So
It's
So
an idea, Jay.
I'm gonna. It is an idea, but I'm going to have to figure something out because my yardsticks that have the LED lights are on both sides, and they are incredibly bright. Matter of fact, I would say they were more bright than the actual UMX plane. So it would be
That way
moot
you'd be able
point
to see the
fly
actual plane.
with
You
that
wouldn't
bright thing.
even. Yeah, you wouldn't even.
Yeah,
need
it wouldn't
to,
be at night, though.
Lights. Yeah, well, I mean, it would be, but it
well, you
wouldn't.
just
be
have to wear
true.
sunglasses.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah. You still couldn't see your airplane. It's just, I think it would wash it out. I mean, it's a good idea, but what I think would need is not quite the LED sticks. Mine were meant for like light, like hanging up and using it for the whole bay. They weren't meant for,
How many
I think
volts
maybe
do
having
they
one
use?
with a couple of LED strips on there. They're a 3-cell.
Those are only 3 cells.
It's a
Jay,
3-cell.
so it's good to know that I'm not the only dream crusher.
So yeah, just use one battery instead of 12
Like a
volts.
one
just,
cell.
just use one
Like a
cell
one
or
cell?
just one battery.
Yeah, use less volts, like
Yeah.
you're dimming it.
I don't know if those are dimmable or not.
If you put 7.2 volts on it, instead
Can't
of
you
12
burn
volts,
them out?
No,
Well,
not the one you use less volts.
Yeah, I mean, if they're not Jay, so he doesn't care. Yeah, they're not Jay, so he doesn't
That's
care.
true.
Using less volts is not going to burn out your LEDs. They're just going to get dimmer.
I think it could impact it. I don't know what negativity, but I think it could impact it.
I'm thinking that too, because the ones that are the LEDs in my house are dimmable, and I was told don't get the non-dimmable ones if you have a dimmer switch on there, because you can. It's something about the voltage when it gets too low, it burns out the ballast or something. Not the ballast.
There's
but
no
whatever that
ballast.
little
There's no
resistor or
ballast
whatever's
in
The
an
LED.
LED for.
No, it's not the. It's yeah. It's got like a resistor or something in there. I think whatever keeps all the energy in there. Because I do know that
that would be a capacitor.
The
not
three-way
a resistor doesn't keep energy. So anyway, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, capacitor or whatever it is. Because I do know that the 3-way switches in my house, when you turn one of them off, they just dim down, and then they sit that way for like an hour, and then they'll turn off because all that residual electricity. But if they weren't dimmable, that would not be good for them. I don't know what it does, but anyway.
Yeah,
Your
well, it's
light
also an
voltage
AC
do that.
circuit, not
Yeah.
Yeah,
DC.
my light got to. That's true too. But what's your point?
Just
His
trying
point
to.
is you should try it because they're not his lights. That's what his point is.
right.
Golly,
Try it, and then you can report on it later when they're
Exactly.
yeah.
You
While
tell me
you're
that
doing the
hey,
pylon race.
They
and
caught
your
on
pylon-
fire.
Jay, you what? You know how you can get him to do this? You could tell him that you'll buy him new ones if they break. That's how you could get him to do
Do
this.
that.
That's right. See? I'm not going to do that. I was going to say, you dummy, you shouldn't have put a 4-cell on it. Hey, I got this neat little 30-watt airplane. We'll put this 6-cell on it and fly it at a quarter throttle. That'll work.
Now, I'm all for doing that.
I've heard that story before.
I'm all for doing that.
I've heard that story before.
Well, I know you're good on the throttle, so that's not going to be a problem.
It's true.
As opposed
That's
to
not always the case.
some other people I know who on, off. That's the only throttle settings, on, off.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, 100% or 0.
100% or 0, that's right. Go home, that's right.
Well, if you are in Phoenix, Arizona for this next weekend, come see us out at Winter Warbirds. And if you're rolling into town with these guys on February, first weekend of February, please come out to see us at the Arizona Electric Festival. We'll be at both. We appreciate your support, especially in this new year. Thank you so much for joining us. Please give us a like and a subscribe, and go over to our YouTube channel and grab a YouTube video, or at least put some sort of a comment. And we are out of time, so crazy. We get to talking about silly stuff, and it just zips by. Jay and I spent 2.5 hours on the phone the other night talking about stupid stuff, but so it can happen.
It's a thing.
It's a thing. It's our thing.
It is our thing. We enjoy it. All right. Well, let us know if you need anything from us, or if you want to hear us on a topic. But otherwise, I'm Michael from Arizona.
I'm Jay from the hills of Texas.
And I'm AK Mike in Texas.
And we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Let's fly.
You have been listening to the Park Flyer Podcast. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to your next visit. Please give our show a star rating and review, and feel free to email us your questions, topics, or suggestions to parkflyerpodcast@gmail.com.